Hi, I'm Adam Brooks Weber. This is The Merry Mystic. I'm glad you're here. If you are a member of my denomination, the United Church of Christ, then you already know what's meant by the phrase open and affirming. We use it to refer to churches that have made a public statement welcoming gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgendered members into the full life and ministry of the church. It's now more than 30 years ago since this denomination recommended that all of its members' churches adopt a statement like that. Some of them have, and others have not. Other denominations use other kinds of coded language for this same idea. You might be an open and affirming United Church of Christ church, or you might be a more light Presbyterian, or you might be a reconciling ministries Methodist. Same idea encountered in many parts of the Christian tradition. Some years ago, I was involved with a United Church of Christ church that was not open and affirming. People there didn't like this language at all. They didn't like the phrase open and affirming, the way it was being used. They said, hey, we're open. We're open to having gay and lesbian members, as long as they don't want to teach Sunday school. And we're affirming. We affirm that God loves them, even though they are egregious sinners. So why can't we call ourselves open and affirming? Why do we need to go through all this stuff? I wrote a little satirical song about this, The Open and Affirming Church. We have open minds at the Open and Affirming Church. We guess it takes all kinds at the Open and Affirming Church. Blacks and whites and reds and yellows, gals with gals and fellas with fellas. Just keep it to yourself, don't ask, don't tell us at the Open and Affirming Church. You'll have a special pew at the Open and Affirming Church. Come pray with us, we'll pray for you at the Open and Affirming Church. Criminal deviants, willful sinners, God turns losers into winners, and you'll be welcome at the potluck dinners at the Open and Affirming Church. Now, we are not the gay church, let's just make that clear. We favor good old-fashioned family values here. And we do as the Bible directs. Love your fellow man of the opposite sex, but come and join our congregation at the Open and Affirming Church. Though you're an abomination, we're the Open and Affirming Church. Each religious celebration welcomes your participation, except for marriage, that's for procreation at the Open and Affirming, the Open and Affirming Church. Obviously, that song is not targeted at churches that actually are trying to live into faithful understanding of what it means to be open and affirming, but rather aimed at a certain kind of pretty widespread hypocrisy. Well, so I wanted to say two things about this today. The first is that I believe it's really important to be open and affirming, or whatever it is you call it, whether it's in a church organization or in your own personal spirituality. I don't judge people based on their sexual orientation or gender identity, and I'm pretty sure God doesn't either. And I think it's really important to say that, because otherwise people will assume the opposite. It's the culture we live in. If you take a poll of young people and ask them what are the principal attributes of Christians, they'll tell you, Christians, I know some Christians. Okay, Christians are intolerant and prejudiced And unless you come right out and say you are truly welcome here, people will assume that they're not welcome. And it's especially life-saving for young people because teenagers and early 20s, young people whose sexual orientation or gender identity has made them unpopular are subjected to bullying in school. They're much more likely than average to be the victims of assault. And they're much more likely than average to suffer from depression and hopelessness and to attempt to commit suicide. So if your church or your group or just you yourself, if you can convince somebody that they are truly welcome, that they are truly loved, not in spite of who they are, but loved fully, that can save their lives. And that's a good thing. That's very much in the way of Jesus. But that's the first thing I wanted to say. It can be a terribly important thing to do. But in another sense, it's not really that important at all. And I hope that if your church is open and affirming, or if you are in your heart, you're not breaking your arm, patting yourself on the back about it. Because look, any kind of spiritual path needs to have a compelling value proposition. Whether you're talking about a church and its teachings, or a small group and its practices, or just your own personal spiritual path, any spiritual path has to have a compelling value proposition. Because you're asking people to give it some time, to give it some of their precious time and some of their treasure probably too. And the same is true for me in the Merry Mystic and the books that I write and sell and the music that I write. There has to be a value proposition behind it. Okay? How is this going to change your life? Why is it worth giving some of your time and treasure to? What transformation is it going to effect in your life that makes that worthwhile? And to be honest, if all you can say is, you should join our church because, hey, we're not intolerant bigots, that's probably not a sufficiently compelling value proposition to carry you forward into the future. So now I'd like to ask for your input. If you have any thoughts or experiences about the way Christianity has in the past treated gay and lesbian people, transgendered people, and how maybe it's changing, I'd love for you to share those thoughts. But I'd also like to hear what you think of as your value proposition. What is it that makes following your spiritual path worthwhile? Thanks in advance for sharing your thoughts. Hey, if you're watching this video anywhere but on adambrooksweber.com, please take a minute to go over there. That's where you can find the free music. That's where you can leave comments and connect with the community. I'd love to hear your comments. Until next time, may God bless you, and may you face the whole wide world with a sense of being open and affirming to everyone. Bye now.